So get into the slides, and I'll just
Very
start.
good.
I'll just start by saying welcome, and so this is the transit element of the Prince George's County Master of Transportation Plan update. The previous version is from 2009, so 12 years down the road, it's definitely time to take another look at transit and what's going on with it. So we do want to establish transit priorities and coordinate across transit providers, service providers, and also municipalities across the county. So the first question is, where do you see transit in Prince George's County in the next 5, 10, 15 years? I mean, what you see here is actually stuff from the 1950s. The idea from around DC to kind of implement this walking rail of sorts that would bypass all the stalled traffic, including some bus traffic there. Nothing materialized, right? But it's kind of like history repeats itself. So what can we do in the next 5 years? Maybe low-hanging fruit, maybe service improvements, better transit, more transit during evening hours, more transit on the weekends, right? Commuting patterns are changing. Then midterm, 10 years maybe we can look at high quality bus corridors, maybe dedicated bus lanes, maybe dedicate some more funding towards certain corridors that need it. And then 15 years down the road, like around 2035, maybe there's another idea for kind of the next big thing in transit. Think something like the Purple Line, but not necessarily that. Maybe it could be something different. But so looking forward to your answers. Let's see them. And we got what, about six potential responses, right? 6.
That's about right, Adam.
Yeah, everyone needs to participate. Okay, you could say walking rail. You could say flying buses, flying cars. Whatever you want, right? Increased capacity is good. I mean, that's always the niche. Kind of right sizing capacity with right sizing transit provision with demand. Making sure that supply matches demand. 5 years. Wow, that's a big. Okay, well, let's see if we could see it on the screen. This an incremental transit. That's correct, right? I mean, we kind of agree. Focus on TOD hubs. That's great. And if you want to, speak up and sort of expand on your answer, that would be great too. Let's make it as interactive as we can, so we can get meaningful feedback from you all.
Yeah, Adam. So I added that comment, and just I look at Prince George's County just from a transportation network, trailing Northern Virginia and Montgomery County by 15 years in terms of what the transit network looks like. And so, my hope would be that at least incrementally start taking some of those steps to close the gap between where it's at now and where it really needs to be in order to support a lot of the development that has been considered for, at the very least, the transit hubs within the county.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of closing the gap, because if you look at the region itself, I mean, there's DC, there's Maryland, and there's Virginia, right? But there's so much more going on in Virginia transit-wise, right? Just in general, there's the DC streetcar, there's potential for extension of Metro on the rail side into Prince George's County out to Bowie, right? But I mean, that's kind of like, that's just a placeholder for now, I mean, a lot of it will kind of hang on funding ops, right? But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, if I may, I'm part of a project team, but I'm just thinking about part of using transit is actually having better pedestrian facilities. So I feel like sometimes you might have a bus stop somewhere, but it's just there because maybe it's in an area where there's a supermarket, and so the people who have to access that for work can use it. But even the neighboring, the surrounding areas don't have access to that bus stop. Like they're not able to just, so there's this idea where we have to connect these pieces, So I was thinking. more pedestrian facilities would definitely help people access transit better.
I mean,
Pedestrian
safe access to transit is very important. You know, there are actually some state DOTs actually have programs that focus on actual safe access to transit stops, meaning for pedestrians and cyclists. You know, but yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes there's a bus stop across the street, but you can't get to it safely, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
what else do we see here? I mean, this is really good, and this is really good because, you know, this is a little bit different than what we heard yesterday from transit providers, but also really great. In terms of the next questions, I mean, I'm showing a map of the existing transit. Even if you take out the DC, right? I mean, you can argue that most of this transit is here because of DC, but even if you take it out, I mean, it's still a pretty sizable network, right? You see just fixed guideway and the major fixed bus routes on here. You know, so there's WMATA, there's the bus, there's the MTA, MARC, even Amtrak, RTA, all sorts of stuff, excluding all the paratransit services, right? So is this a first-class system? I mean, is this really what you and your constituencies expect? You know, is this frequent, reliable, easy to use? Does it retain and attract riders? Does it support transit-oriented development? Can you get to it safely? I mean, it's that kind of thing.
So the poll is open. If you
It's
would like
open.
to answer this question, yes.
Access, of course. You know, for cars, for drivers, access is not as important as mobility, right? Because mobility is more about being able to get places fast, and access is a little bit more important, I think, for transit users. Being able to access, you know, jobs, recreation opportunities, your family, your friends. It's more about access rather than the mobility, perhaps. I mean, I don't know. Priorities: reliable transit, safety, prioritization, opportunities, collaborative bus and transit. Absolutely. I mean, this is all really great stuff. Is this something you hear from residents and businesses in your towns? Like, how do you, you know, I mean, typically, is this something that's kind of expressed maybe in your municipal plans or ongoing feedback from folks living in towns, or just your opinion? Which is, if it's your opinion, that's totally fine. I'm so opinionated too, you know. Both residents and potential developers, yes, absolutely. You know, stuff like transit-oriented development and regional transit centers are great when we establish them, but really to push the envelope, we really require input, and we really need to collaborate with developers, right? You know, and you know, whether it's through tax provision or parking or anything else. I mean, it's really, that's what it's really about. It requires a lot of collaboration and partnerships.
The other thing, I'm just thinking about a project. So we have at West Hyattsville Metro, the standards by which transportation adequacy is determined, I think, is inadequate. And the scenario is there's a residential development at Metro. There are, you know, really suburban intersections adjacent to the site. And the requirements for safer pedestrian access are evaluated for a sort of car-centric environment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, it seems like the prioritization for, and this is very Metro, but at Metro needs to be reprioritized as to who should be first on the prioritization, who should be second, and who should be third.
Mm. And so this is, so Jim, what town do you represent?
Hyattsville.
Okay, Hyattsville. If you have any sort of context or background information, send it to us.
Will do.
I mean, we're probably going to have a follow-up conversation anyway at some point, you know. But this is really good to know. domino effect. More public transit access will reduce car traffic. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I hear you. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you never know what your one little idea can do, in terms of influencing others and other things, So it's great. I mean, we all need to take part, right, in making this a better world and creating better access for everyone.
I agree. It's not really simplistic. I think it is supposed to be that simple. But I think the justification that transit providers have is that there is the issue of the cost of putting it out there. But I know that if you put it out there, people will come, especially if you put good quality transit. I think if you just look at cities that have transit and that people use it, if it's there, they will use it. But there's the whole, I think, cost up front of and I think the concern with the county is and we talked about some of this yesterday, Adam, is sending bus routes down sort of semi-urban, not really suburban areas, that really don't have what they call density, I guess. But I think if you put them down that route, I'm optimistic, so I'm an optimist.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, we cannot force transit use on folks, right? I mean, but the thing is, we need to provide a variety of different options. I mean, that's really what it's about, and whether they're the greatest option. Like for me personally, I'd love buses and trains to have heated floors, especially during winter time, because I'm always so cold. My feet are so cold, But this is kind of like a selfish reason, But on the other hand, it's like. I want my a bus stop to be in front of my house too, right? But it's like, there's like all these conflicting kind of ideas when it comes to transit, and there's cost. There's definitely cost side of things, cost implications too, So, but no, I think this is a good conversation for sure. And the domino effect, yes, it's not simple, but I think the townships and municipalities, they have this kind of power to empower their residents and at the least show them that there are options out there and they can take transit, if they can get to it, right, safely. SR 410, just can you go back also for a second? I just want to understand where those locations are, because we have a little bit of time, right? SR 410, not 412. 410, where is that? 410.
Basically, that's right along, right where the 410 and 450 is the intersection for the Glen Ridge station of the Purple Line.
Oh, okay.
Landover Hills, basically, we're about 3 blocks west of 410, but we extend all the way to the Parkway. And the concern is improving the pedestrian and bikes and anything else that we can get people to that Purple Line station, because as you know, Purple Line stations have no parking. So, anything we can do along 450, we've been working on that for years to improve State Road 450, Annapolis Road in that area, and also to revitalize that whole area. So we're very interested in State Road 450.
No, that's good, and that might actually trickle down to our next question about some projects, specific projects and corridors that you might want to identify as in need of improvements. But yeah, and then I think we've kind of captured everything. I think I've seen all the responses. These are really great, really different from what we've seen yesterday from transit providers. From those who actually supply transit. So it's really good. Number 3, which of your current or planned projects can transform the future of regional transit? I know that's kind of like a cliche question, but really remember, municipalities, you do have a role in transit experience, right? Much of the infrastructure that enables access to transit and allows transit vehicles to travel, like the streets, the roads, intersections, and be reliable on time, it all belongs to you, unless it's at the county level or state or whatever. But think pedestrian, bicycle infrastructure, think traffic controls, think parking, zoning, freight and access management, curbside management, the layout of streets, the density of uses, the type of uses, all that stuff, and how will the street connect how well you can get access to transit stops and stations, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that is in your court. So, don't think transit providers, think think about yourselves, because you're in charge. I was part of the developing the city of Philadelphia's transit plan, and I was really surprised about how much is in their court, including something like dedicated bus lanes, cameras for enforcement, et cetera, et cetera. So, obviously shelters, et cetera, et cetera. So let's see your answers. Think hard, but not too hard. And what we're showing here, by the way, is a map of regional transit districts and local centers as identified in the previous master plan from 2009. So maybe a bit dated, but sort of the purple line idea is here already, obviously, and then all the existing rail stations and some of the outlying areas too. Because really the focus of the previous plan was both on this kind of higher capacity transit and also transit-oriented development potential as well. So that's why you kind of see in these transit districts. And we're gonna revisit these and see if they still make sense. Citywide traffic study, zoning code. Yep, absolutely. Wow, these are really specific. I mean, I love this, because these are specific projects highlighting the need, right? Rhode Island Avenue, trolley trail, okay. That's access, transfer of MD 208 from the State Highway Administration to the city of Hyattsville, okay. And feel free to sort of expand on these to provide a little more context for some of us, like myself. Hyattsville, okay. Transportation plan, absolutely. Would love to see have a copy of it. Oh, just send the link in the chat box, even if you can, to the website, if it's available on the website. Yeah, so I mean, I just wanted to again make the point that to be transformative, I mean, it's kind of like it's very subjective, right? I mean, I was telling you how for me transformative would be heated floors on buses, right? For someone else, it could be something on the magnitude of the next purple line, or just being able to get on the bus and being able to get to your work shift because maybe you work in a second shift. So it's all pretty subjective, what's transformative and how it can transform people's lives. But anyway, that's the question. So, oh, thank you, Jim, for the link. Hyattsville, yeah. Okay, no problem. Thanks for your feedback, and certainly appreciate it. And we'll be in touch. Okay, thanks so much. Appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Number 4. Kind of piggybacking off the previous question, which transit corridors, routes, and activity centers are ripe for next level investment, right? So kind of fishing for maybe the next big transit fish here, maybe a larger scale project that uses fixed guideway. Fixed guideway, could be bus or rail. So looking at the next purple line if possible, maybe not, on our end, we're looking at all sorts of options and all the previous efforts. What you see here on this map is our 6 priority transit corridors that were identified back in 2012 as part of a transitway systems planning study by NCPVP. And, we're going to take another look at these, see if these still make sense. But, it's just an idea. We're going to take a look at this, we're going to maybe take a look at Maglev or, whatever comes our way. But we wanted to hear your views and your opinions on this topic. Well, yesterday, for instance, we heard that the purple line extension, right, kind of like the not circumstantial. What is it? Circumstantial, I guess, right?
Circumferential.
Exactly. Thank you. Right. So the extension further south would make sense. That's just one of the ideas, right? So, but again, it doesn't have to be rail based. Something that's kind of maybe something that kind of you see in the future down, 10, 15, 20 years down the road in your municipality, in your kind of little neck of the woods, and you think it will make sense to kind of, there you go, circumferential, right? Yeah, you could probably hear that English is not my first language. It's actually my third language, so. Crickets so far. So these 6 corridors are still all great, right? Is that what we're hearing? Jeff, Rob, Malik, anybody else?
Felicia Hutchinson.
Oh, there you go. Hi. Well, see,
Danny?
I'm not seeing. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing your name on the screen. I don't have you. I mean, you're there, but you just show us +2.
So these are our participants, Ms. Felicia Hutchinson, McCannon, Robert Love, Jeff, he's been participating.
Yeah. I see everyone now. So kind of, like go looking back at the previous answers. I mean, we saw SR 410. Is it really something that would require that it's kind of like a pretty intensive level of capital investment? Is it something that I mean, that was kind of like an intersection level improvement, not necessarily a corridor base. But what we kind of looking for is this next big corridor, right? Looking back at what Jeff was saying about this gap between what's going on in terms of transit investment in Prince George's County versus what's going on down in Nova, for instance, right? And all the investment there in Metro, VRE, etc. Would it make sense for us to also look at a potential, whether it's rail or BRT, bus rapid transit, the stuff going on in Montgomery County, right, with BRT on Route 1, et cetera, et cetera. So is there another corridor in this county that we could look at? Route 1, exactly. I was just saying that. You want to expand on that? Route 1 is good.
Hey, Adam, I had a quick question. I'm with the project team, so I'm not gonna give you the answers, but my question was, how do you define next level investment? There's some
Next level investment, right? So next next level higher investment in transit, right? So next level meaning I was just saying, Malik, like kind of higher level of capital spending. So it will be a little bit expensive. Like the Purple Line is expensive. You wouldn't have to be as expensive as the Purple Line, but there will be a significant cost associated with that improvement, right? Does it make sense? Yeah, so like a fixed guideway type of improvement. It doesn't have to be rail, but fixed guideway meaning like a dedicated bus lane or bus rapid transit of sorts, whatever. But certainly something that's dedicated solely to transit, and there will be a cost, maybe associated with higher level, not necessarily bus stations, but maybe kind of like enhanced shelters, et cetera, et cetera. So there's always a cost. Next level, yeah, next level. I mean, I know it's a little misleading. Thank you. MD 193. Okay, where is that? And I'm asking you because I'm actually up in Philadelphia, believe it or not. I'm in Baltimore, but I'm in Philadelphia. I live in Philadelphia, so I don't really know the area as great as you think. So where's MD 180? What is that? What is MD 183? What is that? Where is that? What corridor is that?
I guess it runs from kind of, I guess it begins at the top around, it connects to Montgomery County and comes south all the way to, I guess it kind of runs east-west on the northern part of Prince George's County.
Judith, is this the one? Is it one of the ones that we see on the map or no? It's not one of the.
I think the purple line is running along parts of it. If I'm
Okay.
looking correctly, yeah.
I might ask you later to
Yeah.
show me the location of this corridor,
Right.
but yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So at the northern part, the purple line runs along parts of MD 193.
And Route 1, I mean, that's been studied for a while. I mean, it's a principal corridor with you know, the whole idea of relieving traffic congestion potentially by increased transit provision there. You know, I think it's right for the least a bus lane. You know, but yeah, no, that's a good one too. Anybody else? We still have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Or just in general. In general. Is there something we're missing here? Is there something we should pay attention to transit-wise, you know, for this study? Just your initial thoughts.
I'm going to go ahead and exit out of Slido so that if you want to go ahead, we have 2 minutes now. So,
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Elsa.
yep.
I think in general it's a good conversation, and we'll certainly have a follow-up, and we're gonna go out to your communities, and then we're gonna hear from the existing and potential riders about how we can try to coordinate improvements to transit. You know, so you know it's a good start though. I mean, we're just starting, right? So good conversation. Thanks everyone. We really appreciate it. And I think it's gonna be like magic, you know, as we hit 210. I mean, I'm a talker, right? So I'm probably gonna be like talking, and then all of a sudden we're just gonna disappear and appear in a different room. It's like magic. It's magic.
We've come a long way since last year.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's like, and also, I mean, I think about the pandemic. I've not heard anyone using that word during the entire conversation today or yesterday. But I mean, that's definitely affecting transit, right? Whether it's
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
leadership or you know, I've been working from home like kind of on and off, you know, here and there. But it's just like I just don't see that many people on the train. You know, I take SEPTA, and it's so different. You know, it's used to be so packed. And now I'm just like, I have the whole car to myself. That's great, right?
Yeah, I think ridership was down. I used to catch the train back and forth to Georgetown, but I live in Baltimore, a lot like you, Adam.
Yeah.
So I don't know the area that well, you know, so I can't really speak to it. But I think ridership is down along buses and stuff like that.
Oh.
In 30 seconds, I'm curious, Adam, what's the three languages that you speak?
Oh gosh, no, I speak Russian, Polish, and German.
Nice.
Yes, I knew it was Polish.
So you teach me Spanish, Elsa. I'll teach you Russian.
Yeah, I would love to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, thanks so much. Love seeing everyone, and we're gonna catch up again. I'm sure it's really great.
Thank you.